Hey, this is Tracy Lewis with Stuffin' Things. It is paper pumpkin time. Hub picked up my paper pumpkin the other day, actually yesterday, and he wasn't willing to do the 30-second intro photo while it was riding down the road to get to the house and get to me. So, Meaningful Flowers, August 2023. I haven't done any research, seen anything about this kit, so let's just see what we've got. Oh, looks like we have 2 stamp sets with Pretty Peacock as our spot. You are capable of amazing things, a flower, a lily pad. Your friendship is unforgettable. You rise above the rest, and then I see we have some lilies to go with the lily pad. And let's see what we've got in the kit. We have some linen thread, some tear and tape, clear dots, full-size dimensionals, looks like there are 8 cards. We have 2 different envelopes. Oh, 2 different decorations on the inside. Let's see what this one looks like. It just turns into a washed blue. So of the lily pads, you can use this part of the strip that doesn't have the glue on it. If you can hide the seam, you can go a little further. And this envelope goes quite a ways in with the design. So that definitely is one that you could cut apart and use the flower elements that go inside the pocket. So I will set one of each aside to take them apart. And then let's see what we've got. I see 4 panels, all the same. It's white core, so the whole embossing and sanding treatment would be lovely. Side opening bases that have a quote about the lotus flower. I guess it's not a lily, it's a lotus. That is very cute. And I saw that this one also has a quote about the forget-me-not flower, and the card base has lots of usable parts. Very nice. Big floral die cuts. These are the forget-me-nots. I see some nice vellum for the lily pads. And just grabbing one of these to see if they work like so. And they do. And yeah, that's funny, they gave us 1 extra of the lotus flower. We get 5 die cuts, extra room on the page. Nope. Hey, my phone died yesterday. I ended up getting distracted for the day. Got a Stampin' Up order, which included a few winter holiday catalog items as well as the rest of my storage for my inks and blends. So now I have my full wall of colorful goodness right next to me, which is lovely. I will put a picture of it at the end with the layouts that I do, and then later on I'll do a video of my somewhat reorganized space with now full-size ink pads, which I have never owned before. It has been a lot of fun. So I'm back. I have the coordinating colors: Bubble Bath, Crushed Curry, Garden Green, Melon Mambo, Misty Moonlight, Orchid Oasis, Pretty Peacock, and Tahitian Tide. So I'll be pulling some of those colors out for the various projects. I did pull some embossing folders. So yesterday with my holiday order, I did order some embossing folders, and I have pulled a couple for possible use. This one is new for me, the distressed tile. It is very pretty. I also grabbed this new Cheery Patterns, this for the water element. Might come in interesting on the lily pad that I showed you that could have sanding done to it. And then I did pull a variety of other ones. We've got the brick now. I don't have my label for it, so I don't know what its color is. It's a distressed brick. We have Countryside Blossoms. I liked Cane Weave. I thought that might be interesting. I haven't used that in a while. And there is Timber. I haven't even pulled Timber, but Timber comes to mind. And then this quatrefoil is pretty as well, somewhat like the distressed tile. So I've got a whole bunch of embossing folders. I will probably do some embossing. Oh, here's the Timber. I did grab it. And then there is also Time Worn Type. If you're not into the bricks or you don't have the bricks, this is a distressed type, and that also would look very similar. So I am going to go away now and get to making up some materials. I'll come back as usual with any updates to the materials as I prep them. Then we'll do a layout mix and match, and then at the end I will have my 20 or more layouts slideshow, as well as a quick snap of my new color supplies wall organization. So stay tuned. All right, I am back. I have extra supplies. I've got 2 demos, and then we will mix and match. I'm pretty well ready. For the dies, which I don't often bring in, I did decide with the 2 shapes of flowers, the lotus flower and the forget-me-nots, it would be nice to have a little bit of a frame. So I chose to bring in scalloped contour dies, and I picked the second smallest one because I didn't need it to be a very large bit of white. I just needed a little framing for each of these elements on the various backgrounds. I've already done quite a bit of the photography, but the nice thing is with the smaller scallops, you can move these anywhere you want. The nice thing too, if you really wanted to get clever, is this one has a slit, so you can kind of have it go behind. All sorts of fun stuff. So I've already got some photography using this frame. I don't typically use the die cuts very often because we get die cuts in the kits. I also then have grabbed my favorite, and it is the first time I finally bought it, the Baker's Twine pack for the 2022 to 2024 in colors. And I've got 5 bows. 4 of the 5 I think do go really well. And the only one that I feel doesn't really have a place, though you could put it in if you just want to stretch the boundaries, and that's the Parakeet Party. So Tahitian Tide goes nicely, and then the Orchid Oasis, Starry Sky, and the Sweet Sorbet go nicely. So I have been putting the Sweet Sorbet with the lotus flower. I have also done photography with the dark purple, the lighter purple, because we have backgrounds that have the purples in it. Then the Tahitian Tide goes really nicely with the flowers. And here is a nice use of the scallop with showing how nicely the Tahitian Tide goes with the forget-me-nots. So you can definitely use the linen thread. I noticed they didn't give us a ton of the linen thread, so I just went ahead and grabbed these Baker twines that I have been wanting to use. Stamped into Azure Afternoon. I want to do a demo of my, this is for me being a person with very bad hands and not being a very good fussy cutter. So I have found that this lovely 360-degree tiny teeny blade works really well for getting into the nooks and crannies. This particular flower has some really deep areas to go in of white that I don't think would be, even if you were a good fussy cutter, it would be a challenge to get your snips all the way in and then all the way back out. So I will quickly cut this out so you can see how easy it goes. All right, so there is the cut job, and looks like there was a little tear there. And you can go through if you want and really easily snip off any rough edges. Okay, so with this, I think that I'm going to do a layout with it. I did not show you the labels. We did get 5 labels. I found them later. Use my little fake pop-ups. This is the envelope cut out to 1/8 in. I'm going to go ahead and grab an Azure Afternoon. So see, I cut it a little bit under. I will go ahead and pop that up. This needs to be a little bit smaller, but the small one is under the thank you. And here is the Tahitian tied bow. Can either go on the flowers, anywhere on the flowers. I made long tails. And then I pulled for embellishments the glossy enamel dots, and I've pulled the purple and a set of the pool party-ish colors, which will go nicely here. So there it is with the stamp. I noticed that lately I have not been doing a lot of stamping, so I wanted to make sure we used these stamps. So that is one cut out, and then the second demo is coloring with the new assortment one that I will be doing a video on with the wet and dry swatches. I've got the dry swatches ready to go. The wet swatching I have not done yet because Paper Pumpkin came. So before I do that, I have not done a card layout with the floral layout element that I think would be fun to just add another layer. And I'm gonna pop the corner up and then add a thank you in the middle. I probably should have controlled my length of the bow tendrils. This Is Your Afternoon could be embossed with one of the many embossing folders that I shared, but for now, oh, and you know what I could do? Pop this for a little dimension in the back. There we go. That's looking pretty nice. And again, we will go with the blue. And that would make a very cute card, with or without an embossing folder. I would also trim the Azure Afternoon down a little bit and put it on a white mat. Here is just to show you what that would look like. With just a little bit of matting. All right, so hopefully I'll remember to take photography of this. Maybe I will set this aside as it is. And I'm going to look for, I did a couple of simple stamping. I've done Your Friendship is Unforgettable. This is a little crooked, so when I trim it down for a mat underneath, I will make sure to straighten it out. And then on the back, this one is also a little bit crooked the other way. And on the back here, I wanted to color these flowers. So this is number 19. The numbers are a little bit different, just in a couple of places where they replaced with a different color. And so I will review all of that in a special video just for the colored pencils. They do appear to have a couple of formula changes, I think for the better. So this is Garden Green. I prefer dry colored pencils. The nice thing about colored pencils is you can erase them for the most part. They do not bleed through, and they work really well dry, which, because of being in a trailer and not wanting a messy medium, I chose normal colored pencils, though I own some colored pencils. The only colored pencils besides these are the Albrecht Dürer. And it was after I bought them that I decided for my travels, I really wanted to stay clean. So no glitter and no messy art supplies. So thus I've been using my pencils dry all this time, and I think they work really well either way. It doesn't take very long. There's no bleeding. I know with the blends, you know, that you have to deal with being really careful about your edges. And this gets into really, you saw how narrow these stems are. I can get right into narrow stems. I am coloring them from Forget-Me-Not colors, so the next color I'm picking is Balmy Blue. I think Balmy Blue is a little bit on the dark side, so I'm going to be keeping a really light hand to keep them as light blue as I can make them. And I'm even going to leave a little white to really emphasize the light. They're nice and small, so just a hint of blue is all I'm looking for. Oh, my fan just died. I'm down here in the screen room, and I don't know if you guys know, but there is no AC down in this screen room. It is fully windowed with plexiglass windows, so the cool wouldn't escape, but this I think was built after the fact, the closing in of the screen room. So when I have the big outdoor doors closed so that I can film in the quiet, I need my fan on. At some point, Hub has said he is going to fix it for me, and he's going to take our HVAC that's in the ceiling and pop it out all the way into this room. We're not really sure why they didn't bother to AC this room, because it really wouldn't have been that hard. And it has been in the 90s here in Florida, which is unusually warm. And we're not talking like 91 or 2. We're talking 95 plus for the last couple of weeks. So now I just have a little bit of yellow to add here to these centers. I think I didn't put any blue on the little bud either. So the nice thing is you can take as little or as long as you want with these coloring of the flowers, and I think that that is cute. I will probably, like I said, trim this down, straighten up the unforgettable. We'll see if on the back, which I could add some green very quickly. Just a little hint of green on the lily pads. You could probably, this is basic white, and you could add a very tiny bit of like the blender pen, probably very lightly if you really wanted to make the color pop, because adding liquid to this color will change it from soft to a much more vibrant look. I just am totally fine with them just being a soft hint of color with this particular set. And I stamped 3 of the lily pads, making sure that I did stamp the one off completely, so the whole design gives it a more natural look. I did threes. Odd numbers are better than even numbers again for that natural look. So there you go. So those are my 2 demos I have planned. I'm going to then continue on to show you some of the layouts that I did. So one of the fun treatments that I did is I did the wavy new, I think it was cherry embossing folders. This is in the holiday catalog. And I have also done the brick. I have a little trick to the brick. So the front of the brick has the brick. If you were to use white craft, you would get green lines and white bricks. So what I did is I put white on the back, put the pretty peacock in, closed it, embossed it, and that way I have a solid front and the lines in the brick being white. So that way I can use both sides as I am doing my photography. So basically killing 2 birds with 1 stone, and then in the end you decide which way you would prefer to use the embossing folder, either on the white inverted side or the all green side. Alright, so with this I went ahead and added a popped up lily pad and any one of my sentiments. Did I say snap? I don't think I told you the sentiments that I pulled. I grabbed Go To Greetings, and I'm using the middle side, the heavier font. I really like that particular size, and I grabbed a thank you, a happy birthday, and a just a note, which I might not have stamped the just a note. So I just stamped them on the fishtails provided. And you could either put the happy birthday up above in the blue if you wanted, or I think it goes a little bit better if you move the lily pad over and add the happy birthday down below on top of the lily pad with both of the elements popped up. You do see I did, if you were curious, I did rough the edges of this as well. Here's where I would pick the sweet sorbet and do that for the bow. And then, now there is the brushed metallic butterflies, or brass butterflies, that would be very cute as well. I just have used them quite a few times, I believe, so I was going for something a little different. And here is a completed design. I did also only use the Azure Afternoon ink and Pretty Peacock ink. So you've got roughing up your edges. I did also rough up with sandpaper. Down here on the bottom you can see where I roughed up the ridges. I chose to go ahead, this is a half-width embossing folder, and I thought it would be cool to just leave the top smooth and then have this for the hints of water, because I knew I was going to be breaking up the obvious transition between the ripples and the non-ripples with this nice large die cut. So that was my strategy there. Here is the smooth, if you are curious, and what it looks like. And you could easily, if you were really stretching your materials, you could always just add a sentiment here. I would probably move that a little bit off the edge, and you could put a bow somewhere up here, or even down here on the fishtail. checking out these deep purple. Let's see how it looks. I haven't done this particular one with purple. Yeah, that looks cute. So there's another design. Very simple. All right, so before I move away from this, I want to show you the lily pad in purple. That ties in the purple up above very nicely. You could, at any layer, decide to raise, like you could leave the vellum flat, add the sentiment. If you wanted to raise up the vellum, you could. So that's what that looks like, with or without the bow. With or without the, in this case, I kind of think it would be fun to use the light colored dots. Very cute there. Then let's take this vellum and add a lily pad. Pop it up. If it were me, though, I wouldn't be combining so many pieces because I would want to stretch and get more out of the deal. And you can always make your own fishtails. Very, very easy to do. So that looks cute. In this case, I would then switch to the pink, the sweet sorbet. And I think it would be even totally acceptable to mix your colors. And if you had a lot of these and you weren't wanting to limit yourself, I would say this little guy would be cute up, oops, right here. I was going in the wrong place. I'm going to switch this up. There we go. Totally okay to have extra glossy dots. All right, so there's that. Moving right along. I believe, oh, there it is. I realize now I should have switched this to the unforgettable is supposed to go with the forget-me-nots, and I forgot. Okay, so I have this nice treatment. This is the time-worn type. And the secret to time-worn type, if you've had this embossing folder for a while and you find that you end up putting it upside down, most people won't notice, but I always look for the "we know what," because that's kind of in the middle of this. So if you always emboss in the middle, those words are very clear, and that's how I know I am right side up or upside down. So that looks marvelous. This is from the inside of the envelope. Then we just pop up a lily pad down further below, and then you pick your sentiment. I will not use unforgettable. I have the happy birthday and the thank you in my hand, so I will use the thank you. sweet sorbet on. So I'm going to do something. This was not planned. These are awfully dark, and I like the idea of tossing on just a little bit of gel pen. I use Jelly Roll gel pens. Stampin' Up! Had a Signo at one point. And if you have that, that'll work just fine. I think that looks really cute. I'm thinking not the purple. I always make a triangle. If you're curious, my strategy when I put these on, I go for some sort of off angle triangle. I very seldom do the 3 in a row. I have a very hard time trying to get them lined up to my satisfaction. So triangle it is. All right, so this one I did not get photography of. I'm going to set this aside. Okay, next, I used the new embossing folder that I showed you. And it is a distressed tile, or I think is what it's called. I have not trimmed this down at all. I am thinking, I believe I kept it simple because it wasn't until later that I did the scalloped, but I think the scalloped would make this really pop. Like so, very cute. I don't know where my happy birthday tag went. So we'll just do a thank you again. And in this case, I definitely want the Tahitian tied baker's twine, like so. And the blue dots I need to steal off of that last one. And there you have it. I actually need to get this one photographed, though I did quite a few different variations of this one already. And I have, there is a base. It's a plain base with purple, the Orchid Oasis. Here is what it looks like. And on the back it has the quote. I think if you wanted to trim this out and put this quote either inside your card, like if you wanted it, you would do your own base, you would trim this off and put it right here on the inside. I think that would be really nice. Very, very nice for if there's the forget-me-not one and the lotus flower one. Okay, so I didn't mean to do what I did here. I started to sand, but I wanted to sand with you, so I stopped. So this has a very tiny bit of sanding on it. Not intended to be sanded. And you could add the same elements that we have been putting on with this bright purple. Add a thank you. I'm going to take off the blue. The thank you could go up a little higher. I even did one really cute layout. If I move that up higher, you can take the thank you and nestle it in the flower itself, like so. Popping up the flower. I would move it down then so that there's some gap. Now you do have, this is basic white. There is a little bit of difference in the color of the white. There always is. Oh, there's my happy birthday. But it's not too bad if you separate them. If it really bothers you, you can go ahead and do some sponging if you wanted. And that will sponge either around the scallop, sponge around the thank you. Here is the bow. And I think that the blue dots are going to pop the most. And I don't know where the third one went. Ah, it's right here. I try to keep track of these. They do lose their gumminess. So when I'm all done and I put all of my materials away, I try to have kept my sets of 3 of whatever my embellishments are, and I put them in a baggie so that when I come back to the kit later to make up the 8 to 10 to 12 cards I'm going to have in my stash to give to my Paper Pumpkins Perks customers, who, if you're curious, every 6 months when you subscribe to me as your demonstrator for the Paper Pumpkin Kit and you keep your subscription current, every 3rd month and 9th month you will get a thank you card, and it is a card that I don't write in. I actually add a sticky note to it, and it doesn't necessarily say thank you. It is a card, any kind of a card for you. I usually put in some little samples and things, and then at every 6 months I send a set of 4 to 6 of the actual Paper Pumpkin cards that I finish. So I have a big supply of them and I just randomly pick them. So if you are interested in actually getting some rewards for subscribing to me, that is the way you become the Paper Pumpkin Perks customer, and I send you these cards that you get to see, because I make way too many. Boxes and boxes of them. So I would appreciate that, because then that helps me with my requirements, and it also helps me find good homes to people who will appreciate these cards that I make. So I think that that's a cute card with the purple. And now I will resume sanding. This is one of the new basics. There are 3 patterns to the basics. There's dots, there's this cross-hatching, and another one that actually ended up looking like little starfish for, I believe, the last month's kit, the Fun in the Sun kit. And I have a sanding block here. Now what's funny is this sanding block has been with me since I started traveling. I have always kept on the wrap, because then my hands don't have to touch the sandpaper surface, but the sides are starting to get white because I've been making projects, wood projects. I've been recoloring them, doing distress treatment for some candelabras and things for the house. And so this sanding block is getting used for something more than just making cards. All right, so I wanted to then distress this more, because this is a great card base to be distressing. And that is what you get. And you could rough up the edges if you wanted, or in this case, I'm just sanding down enough to get more of a solid white line. And you could, you know, if we've got a curled end, you could just leave it curled. And then that adds just a different look. In fact, I'm going to get rid of my sanding. And now I want to, I've got that little guy, and Let's do it this way. I probably would do an azure afternoon sentiment. And that is also a cute card. Adding a layer of white wouldn't be a bad idea. Where's my white? Right here. And that looks really cute too. I think that I have gone through all of my pieces and parts. I've shown you all of my embossing that I've done. Did the coloring, did the fussy cutting, did a bunch of layouts. So in the next, we will have the layouts slideshow, and I will also, I already took a picture of my new ink storage that's right here. Like, it's so close, I don't even really have to reach too far to get at all of my inks and my blender pens, which is lovely. And then on top I have my colored pencils, which I zoomed in so you don't see the top, but that's where my colored pencils are. And I did finally buy a full-size Versamark and a full-size Tuxedo Black, which I've always used those with spots as well. I've never had the full-size pads since I've been traveling. So that's it. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you think of the kit. I think it's a great kit. And be sure to do all of the YouTube things. I did mention perks, which I don't often push perks at all, but it is there for you. It benefits me. It benefits you. You get a little bonus. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me. If you leave a comment on the video and I see it and it's specific, I won't be able to answer you unless you put your email in that, because there is no messaging response system in YouTube. You could also go over to my blog at stuffandthings.com, where I keep all of the supplies, and I will have all of the full supplies list over there. And you, at the very bottom of every page, is my webmaster email, and you're welcome to ask any questions there as well. And again, do all the YouTube things, like, share, comment, and subscribe. And as always, thanks for watching.